All right, next we're going to talk about the power of the church. Now, by the 1600s, Christianity is going to be spread to many of the Germanic people. Missionaries are going to risk their lives, they're going to put their lives on the line to spread Christianity across the land. Now, there's going to be attacks by Muslims, and this is going to spur a lot of people to convert to Christianity. Now, over time, the Christian church is going to become more secular or more worldly. They're going to involve a lot more politics in the church. Now, an example of this would be Pope Gregory I. He's going to use the church revenue or the tithes, the tithes we talked about in class, to help raise armies, to help repair roads, and to help the poor. Next, we're going to talk about monasteries. Monasteries were religious communities for men. And the people who lived there in these monasteries, they were called monks. These men were called monks. And what they're going to do is they're going to give up all of their possessions, all of their worldly possessions, and they're going to devote their whole entire lives to serving God. Now, the women, they're going to do the same thing, but they're going to live in a convent, and they're going to be called Muslims. Now, these places were the best places to go for an education. Now, there was a guy named Saint Benedict. He's going to write a book pretty much just setting practical rules in place for these monasteries, and his sister's actually going to use the same format for the convent. Okay, next we're going to talk about the structure of the church. Now, at the head of the Roman Catholic Church, we're going to have the Pope. The Pope is going to be the leader of the Roman Catholic Church, and is going to be elected by the cardinals for life. The cardinals, they are pretty much the elected government of the Roman Catholic Church, and they're going to elect the Pope. Now, under the cardinals, we're going to have archbishops. Archbishops rule over a large area called an archdiocese, and they're responsible for making sure that the bishops follow the rules of the church. Under the archbishop, we're going to have bishops. The bishop is responsible for a diocese, and pretty much a diocese is the main administrative unit of the church. The bishop's going to supervise all activities of the church, visit all religious institutions at regular intervals, and is responsible for teaching the Christian faith in his diocese. Now, bishops also have responsibility to arrange works of charity in their areas and to speak for the poor. And each diocese that a bishop is over is going to be divided into a smaller unit called a parish. Now, our priests are going to be the ones who are over the parishes, and each unit is pretty much doing the same thing that a bishop is going to do, but on a smaller level. So this right here is the basic structure of the Roman Catholic Church. Next, we're going to talk about religion as a unifying force in the Middle Ages. Now, feudalism is going to create division within the Middle Ages, but the church teachings is going to help bond everybody back together. It's going to provide people with a sense of security or a sense of belonging to a religious community. The priests and all the other clergy, they're going to minister sacraments, which is basically religious ceremonies like baptisms and things like that. Now, everybody is going to be subject to canon law. Now, canon law is basically just church law, and this is going to include matters of things such as marriage and stuff and other religious practices, because the church was both a religious and political unit. So everybody was subject to canon law during the Middle Ages. Okay, so to wrap things up with the power of the church, we're going to talk about the emperor and the pope clashing. So the emperor and the pope, they're going to clash, and I'm going to give an example here of how a future conflict is going to be set up. Pope Leo III is going to crown Charlemagne the emperor in 800 CE, and unknowingly he's going to set up this future conflict. Otto the Great was crowned king of the Holy Roman Empire in 936 CE, and the church is going to be very unhappy with Otto's use of lay investiture, which is basically just a ceremony where the kings and the nobles appoint church officials. Now, the popes are going to threaten with excommunication, which is just banishment from the church. However, future kings, they're going to attempt to exert their power over the papacy or over the pope. Now, this is going to set up a future for a weaker German provinces throughout Europe, and it's going to weaken the royal authority throughout Europe. And basically, guys, that's it right there for the power of the church. So make sure you go over all these little points here, just things to know for the test. Some of it may be on there, some of it may not be on there. So just make sure you go through it. Make sure you guys are reading your books. Study your notes. If you need to, do Cornell notes on some other sections within chapter 13 and 14, and you'll be prepared for tomorrow's test. And we'll see you guys tomorrow.